Hey guys, what's up? It's been a long time since we've done a live in this group, so I'm gonna make some I'm making bath bombs today. So I just thought if you wanted to, y'all could watch me or hang out with me while I make bath bombs. Maybe you're making something. If you're making something, let me know. I have some definite doubts and misgivings about this just because I have two camera stands that I use, and the one that I normally use for lives is broken, so I'm having to use my ceiling camera, and I don't know if it's gonna cooperate or not. I've played with it a little bit, and I think that it's gonna cooperate, but I don't know. I would like to make with me Mondays like a regularly occurring thing, but I don't know if I'll do that or not. So one of the things I wanted to show you is I wanted to show you how I split my batches. I know some people have bought, well, probably a lot of people have bought my recipe, but some people have bought the recipe and have, said like, oh, it's a really big size recipe. And the reason for that is that the bubble up that I use in it, it's such a small amount that it's really hard to split it. So that's really the reason that I choose that batch size, is because it's really hard to split that that bubble up, because it's the most likely reason. Like if things go south, if it starts to activate, it's probably that bubble up. It's a real touchy little ingredient to add, but I like it, So this is my bath bomb recipe without fragrance oil. So it's all the powders, not the citric acid, and then all the liquids, and then just no fragrance oil. And this is how I split mine, if you want to join and watch. So this is where I'm saying I'm nervous about this, because I don't think that this camera stand is meant to be jacked around all over the place like I'm planning on doing with it. So that makes me a little nervous, not gonna lie. So basically I get the bowl, tear the scale, put everything in there, and then I split that. And I actually am going to have to, sorry, I think that I should probably know this, but I just don't off the top of my head. Wait, okay, 710, okay. Just kidding. So then I'll just split this off. You can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, Amanda, thank you for the recipe. The other thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that I woke up today in Wonderland. Literally, it's like my dehumidifier in my soap studio area says that it is at 34% humidity. This is unheard of. I'm gonna put it on my calendar, because that never happens to me. So I did make a batch earlier today, and it was cracking on me a little bit, because my recipe is intended for high humidity. It has 3 different types of hardeners in it, and come with me over here. Oh wait, we gotta add our fragrances. Yeah. See, this is why I'm worried about this thing. So my recipe is intended for high humidity, and so basically what I did is I cut all of my hardeners, my clay, my cornstarch, and my cream of tartar. I cut those all in half so that they're less, they're doing less work in the recipe. I think that should work. We're gonna find out together. It's not a common thing for me though to have low humidity. So we'll find out. I'm gonna today I'm using Rainforest Gardenia from Muddy Soap Co. to make these little stars. It's a regular part of my line called Golden, so I thought for Christmas it'd be cute if they were golden little stars. and I'm going to be making some rounds. Rounds are typically the most forgiving when it comes to like humidity issues. So even if I can't get the stars to work, I know I'll be able to get the rounds to work. And if I can't get the stars to work, it's a la vie. It's life. It happens. No big deal. I am gonna add super sparkles. This is an eco glitter from Nurture Soap. It's gonna be everywhere. You can probably, I can see it. I'm gonna blow my nose later and it's gonna be up inside my nose. Oh, you like my apron? Thank you. I got this at a local boutique in Edo, which Edo is basically east downtown of Houston. It's a really cool Latino influenced area. So there's like a really cute boutique down there that I got this. I actually saw it through the window and was like, I have to have that. Okay, so the mix feels, I mean, to me the mix feels plenty wet. Like it's holding its shape really well. And we'll add I haven't added any water yet as a binder. So I may have to add binder. We'll see. I'm about to add my, my citric acid. Sorry for the jankiness of this. It's just like, I don't know what to do with my camera thing. So let's see how this is doing. I do tend to like to have this mix for a little bit longer. I mean, it's slightly dry. I think that it will be okay though. So like I said, I did all my hardeners in half. So, and you know guys, having issues with your recipe is not like, it's not like once you get your recipe you never have to tweak it again. I wish that was the case, but that's not, I mean, maybe somebody over can comment on it and say that they've never had to tweak their recipe, but I still have to tweak mine. Okay, that arm it doesn't want to go that way. Okay, so we're gonna come this way. You're getting like to see all this in the background that I normally try to not have be seen too much if I can help it, because it's usually really messy. Okay. So I have trying to juggle everything. So I have my scale here. I like to weigh. See if I can do this without breaking everything that I own. I like to weigh my bath bombs as I fill them. This is actually for one of my wholesale accounts. So they're sweet and they let me like kind of just do what I want as long as I give them the same fragrances. As far as like the designs of the bath bombs, so that's nice to have kind of that freedom. But yeah, they don't have like a specific, has to be rounds. And then let's give it a shot. Let's see if I can move this down a little bit more. Yeah. So usually, my experience is that the flatter ones tend to have cracks. Oh, that actually was perfect. I jacked it up when I touched it, but other than that, it was perfect. Whew. And I like to flip them out on a card. super easy. Has no cracks or anything like that. The citric acid to me is a little bit more obvious than it usually is with my other batches, and that could just be because I didn't let it mix long enough, or I don't know. Maybe this batch of citric acid is not as fine as my last one. There could be different reasons for that. So, yeah. This is the Cada Flat Star mold. I think it's one of the easier Cada molds. If you ask me, I think it's pretty easy. So, I mean, like what I'm talking about with cracking is, can you see like right there? This guy cracked, and that is totally, I mean, I wouldn't say totally fine, but that's fine. It happens. I just pat them down if they do that, and don't stress out over it. You guys really want to stress out over bath bombs? Go to Lush, okay? Go look at some of their bath bombs. You're gonna be, I think, pleasantly surprised at how wonky some of them look. And I think that'll make you feel better about anything that you're maybe hesitant to sell because you're like, oh, it's not perfect. Just saying. So that one did crack on the top too. I could probably add some binder to it. I'm going to give one more. I'm going to mold one more and then we'll see. Matt Smith, I know, Friday and Mondays. Well, Fridays is my business page though, and it's a smaller live, and it's like really, I don't know, I've just been doing those for so long. This, I'm thinking if I did like, you know, we could do like a Make With Me Monday, and that would be specifically for this group. More about like tips and tricks and stuff. I don't know. So, guys, don't know if you know, but Katie Carson done used my recipe and Cada molds in a video. I was trying to impress to my husband what that was like. I was like, I don't, he did not like fully grasp it initially, I think, until he realized like that the post had been posted like 2 hours and it already had like, I think 13,000 views or something. So then I think that he understood a little bit more. Okay, so that one cracked again. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some binder in it. I use water. I'm gonna come down here so you can see me. My observation, this is just my observation, is that people who live in more humid areas tend to use water as their binder, and people who live in drier areas tend to use rubbing alcohol or witch hazel as their binder. So I really think it's all about what works best for you. So as far as binders go, you know, it's really like what works best for you in your area. I don't think like that there's a preference other than the fact that water's basically free. It's distilled water, but, and rubbing alcohol has become like gold cost-wise. It's quite expensive now. Alright, so let's see how that does. Let's see if that has improved it. Question: if you cut your hardeners in half due to low humidity, will the bath bombs still be as hard when they set up? Yeah, so that is a good question. They will still be as hard. The reason that I'm cutting them in half is because basically what's happening is those hardeners are like sucking up all the moisture in this recipe before it can even get molded. So yeah, I expect that it will still be as hard. I've had to do that before, and let me see if I can find one that I've had to do that with, and I'll show you. They still end up being nice and hard. I know one of the things that can happen is that they get kind of, oh, that's perfect. They get kind of powdery on the surface. That's another thing that can happen. And that's fine. That's an easy fix as well. All you have to do with that is spray the outside with rubbing alcohol. Or that's what I do. I learned that trick from my little friend Shannon. Also perfect. Yay. Okay. Yeah, so it just needed a little bit of water, which is fine. You just want to make sure that you take the time to, like, you know, really mix it in really well, so you don't have any like bumps or whatever in your mix. So let me see if I can find one where, so this is one that I had to do that with. This is Goodbye. This bath bomb had like some multiple issues going on with it. I had somehow washed the back of it, so the back was warped, so I was dealing with that so that it wasn't completely flat and it was like shearing off on the back. And then it was having issues where the little details were rising up, and that's just because I was starting to get some of the cool fronts from y'all Yankees starting to give me some dry weather. And so that was one of the ones, the first ones I made some modifications on, testing to see like what I needed to harden or eliminate. And it's nice and hard. It's not going anywhere. The good thing is that I label my bath bombs. I label almost all my bath bombs to say that they're 4 ounces. So that and the rounds are actually more than that. The rounds are like 6.5 ounces. So I don't have to like go and change my labels for the weight of it every time. Yay, perfect. Oh, you can't see. Just kidding. Perfect. Yeah, so many options of things to touch. So, yeah. And then once I finish this little round, I'm going to do some rounds, and I'm going to do them with red. So you guys can see how I would do the other half of the batch. So, like, if you're just starting out and making 12 bath bombs is a lot for you, which, like, I understand that, like, for most people, a single batch that makes 12 bath bombs, that could be a lot. So, if that's, like, something that is an issue for you, you could still take the batch. I would say still, you know, make the batch, but just don't add the fragrance oil. Split your batch. And then, you know, just make 2 batches. 2 different fragrances or whatever, so that you're not having to try to measure out 3 grams of bubble up. Because just a little bit, I mean, literally just, if you're just even slightly heavy-handed on that bubble up, it can cause activation or other issues. And that's just something that, like, when I was first contemplating whether or not we were going to sell the recipe, like, it made me really nervous, just knowing that that's not a common ingredient in a bath bomb, and that a lot of people probably are, you know, I don't know if you've heard, but I mean, I know a lot of people say, like, oh, you don't use it at all because it'll activate your bath bombs, even a small amount, which it will. So, why no chopstick holes? And what am I gonna do to this? Because I don't think we've ever seen me make a straight white bath bomb. Well, it's not, I wouldn't say, I just put like half a tablespoon of shimmer poo in it. I'm gonna just do like a brush of gold across the top. This is one of my favorite bath bombs to make because it's called Golden. It just has a golden, either has a golden brush stroke across the top, or it has a golden drizzle of gold mica. And that's I don't know. It's Rainforest Gardenia, and I'm telling you guys, it is an amazing smelling bath bomb. It's one of my top sellers, actually. And it's Rainforest Gardenia by Muddy Soap Co. So I'm just saying, if you're looking for something that's like, it's not like super floral is the thing that I like about it. It's like real, it has kind of like succulent things to it, like a high ozone notes to it. Yeah, it's different. It's really good. And shimmer, yeah. I added shimmer to it, yeah. I know. I'm not a huge fan of glitter in general, but the people want it, so I give it to them when they ask for it. See, that one worked fine. And actually, I guess because I'm doing these, this is making a lot more than I thought it would for this half batch. Well, okay then. Your first two failed terribly, and this is what you're trying to make tonight again. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, having your first batches of bath bombs fail, that is nothing to be ashamed of. My first batch of bath bombs, like, they looked beautiful. I was super happy with them. And then I came in the next day and I touched them and they went poof, and they just like disintegrated into powder. So that was, there's a little bit of sadness in that. But I just took lots and lots and lots of notes. And made lots, like, you know, little tweaks along the way. I'd actually gotten it to where it was like just working perfect for me last Christmas, and then I wanted to make some changes to it. I wanted them to last longer and stuff like that. So I don't think that there's ever like, I'm done, I've got it, I'm at the top of my game. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but so the only thing about splitting the batch is like you might have leftovers. But if you have leftovers, that's okay. That's what you call personal use. Or you can save them for. I'll show you some things I save them for. I'll show you. Whoa! I just sent some flying. Oops, that one's cracked. It's cracked. So this is probably what you guys, I mean, I still consider this really a super easy batch, but I'm imagining that if I lived up north in like a drier area, this might be typical where you have to like re-wet your batch. It's not something I typically have to do, but I'm imagining that that's a normal thing for people. And then, so say, you know, on the regular you have to cut your batch in half or whatever it is like that you have to do. You can just write it out like that, and then you could figure out percentages and stuff like that, so you have like a better frame of reference to like make sure that you're not having as much overage. There's always that. Let's see. You've accidentally added 4 grams of the cocoa betaine and didn't have an issue, but it might also be because you waited to add the citric acid. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, like I just know that it's like super, like it is a super touchy ingredient. And so if I'm ever going to do a half batch, I typically do it like this where I just do 2 half batches. You know, so I have two different, you know, instead of trying to do such a small amount. And I do have a gram scale, like a teeny tiny gram scale. I just don't trust the thing. I don't know why. I just don't trust the thing very well. I don't know. It just never comes off to me as being 100% like it's correct. I might have enough for one more. We'll see. I don't think so. No. That's a definite no. No. Okay, so one of the things you can do with these is I have these like plastic, what are these called? Test tube thingies. So I just like mix aside, let it completely dry out, and put it inside there, and then it could be like a bath shot or something like that. So that's something that you can do with extra, or you can just keep it for yourself. I'm just saying, you could just totally keep it for yourself if you wanted to. In the meantime, I'm just going to put it back into this. I'm just going to put it all into this bowl. I'm going to do this, this. Then I'm going to get this. And I mean, I don't know, maybe this is wrong with me, but I don't like completely clean out my bowl every time. I just wipe it out. It's not mushy or anything. I don't know. That's what I do. Y'all want to know the real me? This is the real me. This is what it is, okay? So then I'll come and put the rest of this mix inside of here. And then this one is going to be using a fragrance called Fairest of Them All, which is also from Muddy Soap Co. And this is a dupe of Lush's So White. I'm sorry, the label's all bashed up. This is also a really big seller of mine. And I call it Blood of My Enemies. I do. So we're basically going to do the same thing. We're going to bring it back over here. So for this, I'm going to do half red 40 and half red 27. I had to double check to make a red. So red 27 is more prone to staining, but red 40, you can put a lot in there, honestly, without it really staining, but it's dark. So I like to blend the two together. To me, I really like that red. There is a color study, a red color study, and I believe that red is one of the ones I suggest in there. So yeah, definitely look into that if you're interested. Let me do these guys. And I used to be like real like, oh, you have to push the color through a sieve and all this stuff, and I don't know. I figured out that you don't have to do all that stuff. So I think the biggest reason, like sometimes you get like white spots in your bath bombs. Let's see if I have one. Sometimes you get like white spots in your bath bomb, and I was trying to figure out for a really long time what was causing that. And I think that it's from, like, so before I add my liquids to my powders, I stir my powders, and I wasn't doing that all the time. And what happens is, like, sometimes, especially like the Callan clay or other things like that, will just kind of suck onto the color. I don't know. I tell people that a lot of this is like basketball, where you're like, it's like superstitious. Like, I know that I've done it this way and it's worked this way in the past, so I'm just going to keep doing it this way because I know that this way works. Not necessarily that it is actually the best way or the way that works, but yeah. So I just added more to it. So that's the cool thing about the color studies, is that they give you ratios. I have done a brown color study, and that's going to get published soon, but I changed, don't hate me, I changed the way I do the ratios in the brown color study so that I basically give you the measurements for one bath bomb so that you could scale that up or scale it down depending on how many bath bombs you're going to make. And that's because I have this crazy idea of creating basically an encyclopedia of color combinations. So, but while I have that idea, there is a little part of me that's like, hey Robin, you probably don't want to make 9 gazillion batches just to do solid color bath bomb studies. So I was like, I need to figure out a way that I can break it down into like single bath bomb bite sizes so that we can see how that works. So, okay, so this is, look at that red. Is that a good red or what? Yes. So I can tell that this is dry. Now, obviously, if you're going to add colorants to it, those lake powders are drier. So adding those lakes into it is going to dry out my mix anyway. So I'm definitely going to need binder. That was 5-ish. The last one didn't like squirt all the way. It's also a good idea to do that. So just in case you put sugar instead of citric acid. Not that I've done that, but I have done that. So it's a good way to check to make sure that you're getting a reaction. Just saying. Yeah. Oh, Chelsea says she loves my color studies. Thank you. Nectarina, what are you saying about the things that I get on Amazon? I don't know. I'll have to go back and probably look at the comments and try to answer questions for you guys. All right, so let me test this and see how it feels. Like I said, guys, 34% humidity. I mean, that's like insane for me. You don't even understand. It's probably like the last time it was 34% humidity was probably the last time it snowed in Houston, which it does that like every 10 years. Let's check. Let me check my dehumidifier now and see what it says. I don't even know why I have it on. Probably because it heats it up a little bit. So it's still, to me, it's still a little bit dry. Like I would like for it to not do that. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. So I just want you all to know, when you send me questions and you're like asking why your mix isn't working, I'll try to guess with you as good as I can, but it's the bath bomb life that you just are gonna have to always be willing to stay flexible with your recipe, and I try to have fun. As long as I'm having fun, then it's like good. And then she says, what am I using for a binder? I'm using water, distilled water. I said earlier, but I think, you know, it depends on kind of where you live, what your preferred binder is. So it's whatever your preferred binder is. I wouldn't stress, you know, like this is the perfect binder too much. I think that it's always has to do with where you live is one of the biggest factors in why a binder works or doesn't work. Let me go grab another pan. This pan is a little dirty, I'm sorry. Gonna move these stars out of the way so that they don't get damaged or get red thrown on them. And we'll check you over this way. Come along, come along, come along. Hi, back over here. Yeah, water. So Taylor and whoever else was asking, it's water was what I'm using for a binder. It does, I mean, it does still feel kind of dry to me. Not gonna lie. So we'll see. But I did add, I mean, I added a whole teaspoon of color. So, you know, your colors are gonna dry out your mix to some degree as well. So that's something to always be aware of. If you have like a black uses a lot of colorant, so you're gonna dry out your mix, and so you need to be aware of that. So I'm gonna tare my scale, and I mean, this is a Kata 2.5 round. Whoa. Oh, Nectarina, you asked earlier why I wasn't putting holes in those flat bath bombs. That's because, where's my chopstick? That is because flat bath bombs are way more likely to float. Hold on, I have one. Flat bath bombs are way more likely to float. So I don't worry about them floating quite as much. Because the shape of them like tends to displace more water. So yeah, they tend to not have issues, the same kind of issues as floating as a round. Although, you guys, I think, this is just my opinion here, okay? So take it with a grain of salt. But I believe that bath bombs, for lack of a better word, I believe that they cure, okay? So there's like an amount of time where it's like, probably better if you wait until after this point to use it. It's not curing as in like it's gonna, like soap, where it's not gonna be good for your skin or whatever, but I do think that they have an amount of time where it's like, it's better if you wait. For me, my bath bombs do the best and have the most likelihood of floating if I give them at least 3 days. At least 3 days before I tub test them to see if they'll float. All right, so I mean, like I said, to me it was a little bit of a drier mix, but still mold's fine. Gonna put that over there and keep on going. I should be able to make 6.5 ounce bath bombs out of this. And I know somebody pointed out that like my recipe is in grams, but then I weigh my bath bombs in ounces, and I apologize for that. I think grams are way more accurate, but I live in the United States where I'm gonna sell it by the ounce. So that's how, I don't know. Sorry though. Sorry. I know it's complicated. I'm a complicated person. What can I say? Just, yeah. Alright. Okay, so yeah, other people are saying, yes, you think that bath bombs need that time. So, I mean, yeah, I think that they need that time. They need to dry. There's, you know, there's the things inside that need to dry, but also I think that there is, I mean, I would love to have like some real science on it. Like we need like the Kevin Dunn of the bath bomb world to, it's whoever you are, it's your time to rise, okay? So we need like a book that explains like the science behind bath bomb making. So there, like I've talked about this a little bit before, but you have a base, which is your baking soda, and you have an acid, which is your citric acid. And in science, when you mix a base and an acid, you get a reaction of heat plus water. So when you're mixing even the citric acid and baking soda together, that's why your embeds, you don't have to use any kind of binder. And you've probably had this happen where you're like, oh, I'm just going to prep a bunch of my stuff, and you put it in a bowl and you walk away and it's rock hard and you don't know what happened. That's because just the base and the acid together create enough moisture that it will start to harden on its own. So that's obviously part of the process. That is part of the process. Whether there's like a better scientific explanation for it, I'm sure that there is, okay? I'm like, I joke with my kids that I'm a weekend physicist, okay? Like I'm not, I like science, but I'm not gonna argue that I'm a scientist. So Christy says, do I cover them with a towel when they're dry? No, I do not. Once they're dry, like 3 or 4 days, I will wrap them in shrink wrap. But I don't use like a rice box or anything like that. Actually, I tested at one point the rice box theory, and I don't think that it's actually sound. Like the ones that I kept in a rice box tended to have more moisture problems. So that's, don't like take that as like fact yet, but that is something that I've looked into, is like, is that actually a good option? And I don't think, like my experience with it was, it's not actually like the best option, I think, as far as getting your bath bombs to dry quickly. Sorry if you adamantly believe in that. I mean, I could be wrong, but that was my experience, so that's all I can. I'm not gonna like shut you down if that's your experience, but that was my experience. But that's what's cool about sharing our experiences. We're able to say like, okay, this is a pretty like a general thing. We're like, yeah, don't throw it in the tub right away to tub test it. That's not a good. And then also, don't tub test it in your sink, because you're not going to get a good idea of how it performs in your sink. Your sink is really too small, so it's going to look like it's awesome. You're going to be like really impressed with yourself if you tub test in your sink. You're going to be like, I am so good. Because it's going to foam, and it's going to do like all kinds of stuff that when you put it in a tub, it's not going to do. No, it's like your children, when they can do something at home, and then you're like telling your friends or your mom or whoever, like, hey, Billy can do blah, 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 and then like he will not do it. He will not do it in front of your mother, the doctor, or whoever it is that you need to prove that they can do it. They will not do it. Bath bombs will treat you the same way. Just saying. She says that she's in Georgia, and sometimes the rice box doesn't work, but when it rains, it keeps them good for you. Okay, that's good to know. I'm gonna add just they're still molding fine. These are still molding fine, but they are a little bit dry. So what can happen is they can mold fine, especially the rounds, and then they'll get a crack down the seam of it where that Saturn ring is. So I'm just gonna add like a little bit of extra to it, right in that little extra binder, just to make sure, because I'm about halfway through. I probably could have done it for the last one. So So yeah, so if you have a recipe and you feel like the batch size is too big, you can do like I did where you prep half of it, just don't add the fragrance oil, you know? And as long as you don't add the citric acid, it's a little, like if you guys are soap makers, okay, it's a little bit like adding, it's a little bit like adding your fragrance oil. Like you can really do kind of a lot to your soap until you add your fragrance oil, and then you've got a ticking time bomb on your hands, right? Like the clock is ticking once that is added. So with bath bombs, it's pretty much the same thing. So like until you add that citric acid, you really have, honestly, you have a lot of time to play with it, and that's one of the reasons I say like don't add your citric acid until last, because that really helps extend like the amount of time that you have to work with your bath bomb. So, yeah, you guys, let me know what you think. Like, if you'd like to have a regularly occurring live in this group, maybe we can do that. I mean, we could flip-flop. We could do, like, bubble bars and bath bombs or, you know, whatever it is that you guys are interested in doing. Otherwise, if you don't care, we don't... I'm always making stuff, so it's like, it's just a question of how neat that area is behind me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the biggest question. I do have friends who will like FaceTime me, and I'm like, just please don't say anything about that area back there, because if you loved me, you just would pretend that that's not happening. All right, let's see if I have enough for this last little guy. If I don't, then maybe I didn't measure it out correctly, but we'll see. Nope, he's gonna be short too. So probably, like, if I was gonna do, because this is probably because I cut my, half of my hardeners out, right? So if I was going to do this on a regular basis with that version of my recipe, I could go in and look at all the percentages of all my ingredients and say like, okay, I need it to be able to make 6.5 ounce bath bombs, and I could go in and like tweak it all the way up until I had like a recipe that would work for me every single time. So that is one thing that I could do. I could also just, I have this mix right here. I mean, I have this bath bomb rolled right here. This is the round waffle, the round Kato waffle. Normally I put the, it's dirty. It's not dirty. It had a white bath bomb in it earlier today. Which is fine, because I'm going to actually paint these bath. I'm going to do lumberjack waffles. So I'm doing red waffles. They're not going to be in this scent, but this is good enough for me to test it. Or test the theory. Hopefully that was enough mix. It feels like real thin. I think the Kato waffle is the easiest shaped waffle because I haven't tried the Kato square waffle. You're welcome. Okay, it's a little bit light, but that's fine. We'll see if I can get it. Let's see if I can nail it when I flip it. Which you know guys are not watching me, but it's like, it's happening right here. Let go, let go. Hi. Ta-da! It's probably cracking a little bit. It's actually not bad. So, there you go guys. Just made a bunch of bath bombs with you. How do you feel about that? If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll come back behind this and go through and answer any questions that you guys had. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining a quick little impromptu live that maybe is going to become a regularly occurring live. Bye, guys.